remarks on how we are transforming Ghana's economy through digitalization, because it is important that we highlight the critical nature of digitalizing the economy and how it underpins the reforms that the citizenry expects of government. We can only build a vibrant modern nation if we have strong systems and institutions. Otherwise, we will be stuck in a vicious cycle of rhetoric and underdevelopment. Under the leadership of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, we have focused on pursuing digitalization as part of our economic strategy. Because the fourth industrial revolution is upon us, and we must be part of the modern world. Also, there is a growing body of empirical evidence that illustrates the capacity of digital technology to create jobs, significantly boost productivity, increase income, and support wealth creation. For example, the World Economic Forum's Global Information Report estimates that an increase of 10% in a country's digitalization score fuels 0.75% growth in GDP per capita. It is therefore clear that going forward, countries that fail to digitalize their economies are likely to be uncompetitive in the emerging global digital revolution. Therefore, when we assumed office in 2017, we asked the following questions. How prepared is Ghana to compete in the emerging global digital revolution? Have we got in place the key pillars that would enable our economy to participate in the emerging digital revolution? Is the system we have fit for purpose? Ladies and gentlemen, the first thing to note in talking about the digital revolution is that it is a data revolution. The Economist magazine in 2017 put it this way, and I quote, "The world's most valuable resource is no longer oil, but data," end quote. Data is as important in this fourth industrial revolution as oil discoveries were for countries decades ago. Data is the basic requirement for participation in the emerging digital revolution. But it was clear when we assumed office that the system underpinning the operation of Ghana's economy was not designed for a data-driven economy. The system had major shortcomings and presented challenges for digitalization of the economy. The key enablers for digitalization were not in place. And these challenges included the citizens and residents could not be uniquely identified. It is possible to be born in Ghana, to live a full life, to die and be buried, and there would be no trace of you on any documentation that you ever lived and died in this country. There is also, as we looked at it, the inefficiency and corruption in the delivery of public services. In the day-to-day interactions of Ghanaians, whether in applying for driver's license, passports, and any other form of government permit or license at the local or national level, corruption has been so ingrained that bribe taking and giving are often tolerated to the point of being considered as normal behavior. We also had a lack of a functional national property address system. And you know that no modern economy can function without an address system. There was the existence of the large informal sector and the dominance of cash in payments. We also had financial exclusion and so many people not being able to have access to financial accounts and services. Our government databases are largely manual and not integrated. And there was the difficulty in this large informal economy of ours of collecting taxes for development. The vast majority of the population do not file to pay taxes. And when they do not file to pay taxes, there's no way of finding out because you don't have the data. We also had a lot of inefficiency in the delivery of health and education services. All the challenges I have just described so far are symptomatic of a disconnect between the government machinery on the one hand and the lives of ordinary people on the other. The system frustrates rather than helps ordinary people. That is how the system works. The question to ask, ladies and gentlemen, is why is it that after over 60 years of independence in Ghana, after all the years of IMF and World Bank programs, after all the foreign aid, all the development assistance, the system remained basically the same, or in some cases got worse. In 2010, that's 11 years ago, and some 7 years before we came into government, I addressed this question in the conclusions of a book that I published on monetary policy and financial sector reform in Africa. I noted in this book that international development is a competitive game. But unlike the game of football, where the rules are clearly defined for all participants, not all the rules of international development are written down. Putting in place a unique identification number for the population, a unique address system, and financial inclusion are just some of the key unwritten rules for efficient economic development. The focus, ladies and gentlemen, of economic management by successive governments in Ghana has been on crisis management. As a result of factors such as the collapse historically of commodity prices, increase in oil prices, debt unsustainability, political instability, macroeconomic instability, and so on. We have focused on crisis management. Governments, by and large, have not focused on the underlying system that underpins economic activities. I therefore concluded in the book that digitalization was the path to modernizing and transforming the Ghanaian economy and African economies in general. The goal upon assumption of office was to quickly transform our economy by leveraging on the technological innovations as a means to leapfrog the development process, overcome the legacy problems, and improve both economic and public sector governance. This is why digitalization has been a major focus of the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government. Unfortunately, many people still do not appreciate the link between digitalization and economic development. I've heard some people even ask why I have abandoned economics for digitalization. Far from abandoning economics, the reality is that in this era of the fourth industrial revolution, if you don't digitalize your economy, you will not have much of an economy left, period. A few days ago, the World Bank President, David Malpass, at the recently concluded G20 summit, stated and I quote, "Without digitalization, we won't be able to reap the full benefits of human progress." This is the World Bank president. That without digitalization, we will not be able to reap the full benefits of human progress. This statement is a validation of why Ghana has rightly focused on digitalization in the last 5 years. Ghana has actually been ahead of the curve on digitalization. Our strategy since 2017 has been to build a new system through digital transformation. What are the elements of this new system for digital transformation? We set out, under the direction of the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, we set out to build a system with unique identification numbers for the population, a system with addresses for all properties and locations, a system that is transparent and promotes accountability, a system that is inclusive, a system that provides efficient public services delivery and tackles corruption, a system that improves efficiency in the health and education sectors, and a system that provides financial inclusion and a cash-light economy. Finally, a system that enhances domestic revenue mobilization or tax collection. I will now come to how we have used digitalization to solve these problems, because the task we set ourselves to build this new system was a quite heavy task. And we opted for digitalization as the instrument.